do that. So yeah, just so you know, kind of the way it goes, we kind of like talk about, your career so far. So I talk at the beginning a little bit about how it's going for, you at FSU right now with, this whole situation. Go back to your high school, talk a little bit about your high school. I think it'll be kind of interesting to talk about your time in JUCO, and then, obviously up to FSU, how you're doing now. A little bit about moving into your draft and, what you think you need to do for, to get drafted. And then I kind of want to go into like the more personal. So I think the big thing with you was that you were talking about building your brand. And that's not something I've talked about with anyone yet. So I think that'd be like a really cool area to like dive in deep. And then at the end, we kind of wrap up with, hobbies, stuff outside of football, and then your favorite food. That's always a big one. So yeah, that's kind of the flow of it.
I guess.
Cool. You want to just jump right in?
Yeah, ready to go.
Awesome, man. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Trench Talk. And today I'm joined by Jay Williams. He's a tackle at Florida State University. Jay, thanks for coming on, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, of course. So, we talked about this with some of the other college guys we've had on, but what's your situation like right now at FSU for, the whole only Zoom meetings? Are you on campus right now?
Yeah, we're on campus. We started back on campus workouts June 1st. They're voluntary right now. So we all got tested the week prior, and once we got tested, we got approved to come back to campus. We start arriving probably workouts twice a day, and you have to wear masks in the weight room, in the facility, stuff like that. We're restricted to certain areas, but it's been pretty good so far.
Nice. So they don't make you wear like a mask or any of that kind of stuff anywhere on the facilities right now, as long as you've basically been tested?
Oh, no. So how it goes is when we get there, we all have to go through a certain entrance, and we have to have a mask on. They check our temperature and get all that stuff, ask us if we've been around certain people that have certain symptoms and stuff. And then after that, we're allowed to go in through to the locker room, get dressed, and then from there, when we're in the weight room, we have to wear masks when we work out. But when we're running outside, typically we don't have to. But because we're spread out, we're distanced from each other.
Yeah.
But when we're in the weight room, we're indoors, closed space. We have to wear a mask when we're working out.
So I was actually thinking about that, where my gyms and stuff are allowed to reopen where I live on, in a couple days. And I was thinking about the idea of going back to start working out at a gym. And then yesterday, I was doing something where I had to wear a mask for a couple minutes, like moving boxes or some like super simple stuff. But even that was like getting tough, of just like starting to breathe a little bit heavier and feeling like hot and sweaty under the mask.
Yeah.
What's it like working out like full out in a mask right now?
Oh, it's like those resistance mask things people wear when they're trying to like get that conditioning in. It's just like that. Like it can get hard to breathe at times. So you gotta sometimes stop and just catch your breath and stuff like that. Or you get certain other masks and stuff like that. Like I wear something like this sometimes. One of these you just put over.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And just it is also just make sure that we're not breathing on each other.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty tough, I won't lie. But you work up pretty good sweat.
Yeah. So I wonder if I didn't think of it this way, but I wonder if there will actually be a benefit to wearing it come season, assuming the season happens. Because, like people, like you said, wearing those like high elevation masks to help their conditioning and stuff. I wonder if there might actually have a similar benefit.
I feel like my lung capacity has gone up, so I can see that happening, yeah.
Damn. So then, are you allowed then to have your meetings at all with everyone else wearing masks, or are your meetings still on, Zoom and other platforms?
They're all still on Zoom.
Yeah.
So we have meetings once or twice a day, Monday through Sunday. So.
Okay. And are they able still to control like your dieting and most of your workout programs, or like you said, this is the voluntary section, so it's kind of up to you?
No, yeah, they still have like the nutrition stuff. Most stuff open, but like it's more like certain things we can't touch. They have to hand it to us, or have someone leave it in our locker or our lockbox and stuff like that. So they've limited like the amount of like physical interaction we have with each other, which is really good.
Yeah. So then the one thing think I know how it works, but I never played college football. I never moved away for college to begin with. But was most of your eating before like the buffet style, like walk up, grab what you need and go? And has that changed?
I would say with what they gave us, so we had a cafeteria inside of the stadium called Fig, and you just swiped and went in there and ate and stuff like that. But that was just because it was campus dining in general, so we just went whenever we wanted. But it's closed, so like they have stuff like brought to us like after practice, like Chick-fil-A or something. And, like they'll just put in our lock box. So like where our towels are, we'll just go open our box after workouts. So it's have the meal there. You just grab it out from there.
Is that kind of cool though to see like you don't know what you're gonna get that day, like Chick-fil-A or whatever else?
Yeah, it's usually a surprise. It's good, but coming from where I came from, you ain't even have any of that, so you appreciate what you get.
Yeah, exactly. Cool, man. So what do you think is gonna happen? So these podcasts, by the way, I don't really know when this one will be released yet because I'm making as many as I can right now. But what do you think is going to happen for the NCAA season? One I actually did with Austin Deculus a couple days ago, the tackle for LSU. He said that they were even thinking about getting rid of linemen because it was like they were talking about with precautions. It was like no face-to-face contact, no getting like body to body, people over, I guess they classified it as obese or over 300 pounds are more likely. And so he said everything that they were laying out for them about, what might happen with this season sounded like they were just going to maybe get rid of linemen and do 7-on-7 or something crazy like that. Like, have you heard anything about what's going to happen this year?
Yeah, but I haven't heard anything like that.
No.
We've heard stuff from us getting tested weekly or having to get tested to the point where like they haven't developed where like we'll get results between 8 and 24 hours so that if you test positive, you can't practice that week or for 2 weeks, stuff like that. Or like right before maybe that Thursday or Friday before the game they were talking about, or what was the other thing they talked about? I know that they said that the capacity for the fans and stuff like that, maybe just having it family at first, but I know the NCAA just approved or planning to approve like a 6-week fall camp.
Okay.
Where like it's gonna be like more of like NFL style like training camp thing and stuff like that to make up for the time we lost for spring ball. But where we've heard is more of stuff like the season's going to happen. So that's how we've been operating. Like we're gonna have a regular season.
Yeah. Yeah, they canceled sports almost nationwide across Canada. It's kind of weird where all of the major so how it works is in Canada there's like 5 major conferences across the country. Every conference canceled their sports except Quebec. Quebec's like where Montreal is, and they didn't cancel. So then the larger brand, our equivalent of the NCAA, had to cancel all like the championships where the conferences play each other. So basically how it's shaping out here right now is like Quebec will be the only person or place to have university sports for the fall, but then they won't have like a championship or anything. It'll just be like a end of year conference winner. And that's kind of all it is. But obviously the NCAA is a completely different animal on a fan base level, funding level.
Yeah, it was definitely there's
competitive
billions
level. So
if they didn't have college football alone. So they're trying to figure out what they can do.
Yeah, and honestly, it could even be who knows how much money they already lost without March Madness, and exactly. Like they're like, we gotta go do it now. Yeah,
so they're gonna try to do whatever it takes, to make sure the season happens.
Yeah, it's interesting times, but we're seeing how people adapt. Have you seen those new face masks, the face guards that come across like your face mask and then the visor piece as well?
I haven't. I know last fall camp I got a new face mask. I kept getting poked in my eyes and stuff. It was like the Justin Tuck kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like I could barely get my mouthpiece through it and stuff like that. But I like those kind of face masks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking like the new like COVID face guard that was made by Shut. You see that?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, so basically what it is like and it's not new technology. There was pictures before that circulated of guys that like broke their jaw and stuff. And basically all it is you have a visor, like but it's not like a legit visor. It's like a thinner plastic material. And then to cover your face guard, it's another piece of plastic with like a couple like perforated holes in it and stuff. And then it's just held on with like Velcro straps to like just basically be like a full face shield. But I think it's kind of pointless because if you're a lineman and if you've ever worn like a visor with like zip ties, you know, the first time you go like head to head with someone else, those zip ties like destroy, pop off, shit falls down. And then it's kind of pointless anyways. And then they might have to like literally stop the play if they see like your face shield fall out. Like I don't really know if it's going to work. But
yeah, a lot of times we make contact initially, first thing that collide are our helmets and stuff like that. So, you know, I'd love to see it, you know, stuff like that. And hopefully it works if that's to keep us safe. But they have to take that into consideration too, that we do a lot of helmet-to-helmet contact with each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, you know, it seems like everything they're doing is just not going to work for linemen. It's the one position that is just like you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, man. So I kind of want to go back a little bit and, you know, talk through, you know, your high school, and you've had a really interesting path from high school all the way to, you know, being at FSU now. So you're from California. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to New View Bridge Early College High School in Nuevo, California.
Okay. And so it's called Early College High School. Is that like a prep school or anything like that?
Yeah, it was more like a charter school where
Yeah.
there were 2 or 3 community colleges around the area. And so like we took our high school classes and then hopped on buses and went to community colleges, took classes and came back and stuff like that.
Okay. And I saw you were a 3-star recruit. How was high school for you? Were you as big then as you are now?
Absolutely not. So my freshman year of high school, I was 6 feet tall. I was 180 pounds. And I was a wide receiver. Same goes my sophomore year. I was a wide receiver. I played some defensive end back then. I know I was a backup quarterback. And that was really probably my sophomore and my senior year, probably my best years. I did really well as a receiver. I got Offensive Player of the Year and stuff like that. My junior year, I grew out a little bit. I was probably like 6'2". I was probably 220. So I moved to tight end. I was playing more of a hybrid defensive end, outside linebacker position. And around my senior year, I was probably about 240. And so I was primarily a blocking tight end / defensive end. And it was just constant change for me in high school, but I never really played line until 2018.
So super, super recently. So then you went from high school. First up, did you have any offers to, you know, stay at that tight end, defensive end position at a high school?
No, I had knee surgery. I tore my meniscus really bad in October 2015. And they didn't know what it was at first. They didn't know that it had moved to underneath my kneecap. So I actually played another game just expecting a surgery at the end of the season. And I had to stop all that. They had to fix all that in my knee. And my recruiting kind of went down. I had interest from a bunch of Group of 5 schools like Wyoming, San Diego State, San Jose State, stuff like that. And I'd say around December, some of them started to come back. And I ended up with a few D2 offers. And then San Diego State came back because they were recruiting me before that happened. And they offered me a preferred walk-on. And looking at the financial aid situation and what my parents could afford and the Division IIs, I just decided to walk on at San Diego State.
Cool. And so then you went on to San Diego State. What happened from there?
Before I got there, the recruiting coordinator asked me if I wanted to be a tight end or a defensive end. It was up to me. So for some reason back then I just really loved defense. So I decided to go as a defensive end. And I'd say that first month I still hadn't really recovered from that knee surgery process. So that month of July I got there, I had to do a lot of rehab and stuff. And I didn't get brought into fall camp as well. So I came in week 1, just having to jump in and just redshirt and went through that whole process of just trying to develop and stuff. And I had a pretty tough first semester of college. I'd say I lost my grandmother and me and her were really close and stuff like that. So that also kind of affected it. And you know, we won the Mountain West Championship that year, and it was overall just a good semester. But I knew I needed to develop and so that if I really wanted to play. So I couldn't put on weight and stuff like that, and I was really struggling. And that second semester, spring ball started. I was doing pretty good. I was learning the plays, and I was actually finally able to develop a bit and stuff. But I lost my other grandmother, and that also affected me as well. That last week of spring ball, we had a spring game and stuff. And that last week of spring ball, they had decided to let me go, and so they cut me from the team and stuff like that. But told me I could come back in August and stuff like that. They'd make room for other players, other positions. They lost a lot of guys to the draft and stuff like that. And I decided I didn't want to wait. I wanted to try to get a better opportunity. So I went to junior college. Straight from there, probably that next March, April, I'd say, and it just went from there. From after that first year. So I'm sorry, second year. My first year, I was still in.
Cool. So with the junior college, because I'm assuming you've seen Last Chance U.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like that everywhere? Because them showing three teams at this point on that show, it makes it seem like everywhere is the hothead coach that's out of control. Is every junior college like that, or was your situation different?
I wouldn't say that, but personally, currently I know Kiyoshi Harris. He coached my dad in high school. He's like an uncle to me and stuff. So seeing him on there was actually pretty funny because he is just like that in real person. But I would say my junior college, there were some hot-headed coaches, but they all weren't like that. My head coach, Coach Jordan, probably one of the most laid-back, chill coaches I ever had. And he helped me out a lot during that process.
Right. So, what's the competition level like? Because I'm still unfamiliar with American athletics in general. There's so much more depth and there's so many more dynamics to it than there is in Canada, just because the amount of kids you have that want to play football. What's the competition level like in JUCO?
I would say it was coming from the Mountain West Conference and going to junior college. I would say from going to Division I to junior college, it just came down to the strength and the speed was a little bit different. Because, you're playing with guys that range from 18 to – we had a 46-year-old on our team. He's a retired veteran, good guy, loved him, and stuff like that. So there's people out there that are on the teams trying to get another opportunity, and then there's some people there who just ain't got nothing better to do. So you pick and choose. I played a guy that was a 26-year-old bounced back from Utah State. You played teams where they were just guys like Freaking Natures, CD Lang, stuff like that. Guys we had played and stuff from College of the Canyons.
Can you just take a second to please explain eligibility to me in there? Because so in Canada, it's basically, I'm pretty sure how it works is, so you have 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have 5 years of eligibility. As soon as you start, that clock starts, but
mm-hmm.
you don't lose a year of eligibility or whatever. If you say have a meniscus tear or whatever, if you miss your third year, you don't lose that year. You can still come back for like a sixth year, but it's only your fifth year. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't lose eligibility to injury. And then I think you age out at 25.
Yeah, so you get it also depends on the division. Like Division I, they have like age on there, I believe. But you get a medical red shirt. So if you play in a certain percentage of the season and you get in a season-ending injury, you can get a waiver to have that whole season taken away so that you can get another one back.
Right.
And it's also 5 to play 4, so you can't actually sit out a season in a red shirt like I did at in 2016.
Okay. And then is there an age limit, or is it just like your clock can start whenever?
It typically starts – it's supposed to start when you enroll full-time at a 4-year university.
Okay. But you can enroll at 45 and you'd still be good to go.
I don't think for Division I, but I think for like Division III or NAIA, they have different rules where your clock can start. I know some guys that are about 23, 24. They haven't played football about 2-3 years, and they told me that if they had signed to a Division I, they'd have 1 year eligibility. But if they went to a Division II, they'd have 2 years of eligibility. So I don't really know how it works myself because I'm figuring some stuff out myself because I'm entering my final season.
Yeah.
And stuff like But it goes. It depends, I guess, the division and like the other things like NAIA and stuff like that.
Huh. Yeah, because I was watching the Pat McAfee show, and he was talking about kickers. And he was saying what's happening now is a lot of these ex-AFL, like Australian or Aussie Football League or whatever the Australian Football League is, that they can all kick. And so a lot of them are like 28, 29 years old, and they're coming down to the US now and joining college and then having 4 years of eligibility or taking the 3 years that they need and then trying to go to the NFL as kickers, as like a second career.
Yeah, I saw there's like a 28-year-old at Miami. They signed last year on her. I was like, wow, like I really don't know how it works. I gotta look that up myself.
Yeah, and it's like, it sucks because if you're like an 18, 19-year-old kicker and you sign on to the team and then all of a sudden you're competing with like a 29-year-old man for that same spot, it's like you just wasted,
Who's been doing it professionally in a different country for so long.
Yeah, and they probably know that if you're from Australia and you're coming down, they know you can tackle if they need to. Whereas you're just some 18-year-old kid that used to play soccer and put on a helmet for his senior year. You might be scared as shit to tackle someone at some point. Like,
yeah, so it also depends on like the coaches. I hope they wouldn't put a kid in that situation where they bring him in and then they're like, oh, this 30-year-old over here and kick a ball far. Let's bring him in too.
Yeah, the more like you see the kind of stuff you learn, it's like a business. I remember when they were talking about, I think it was actually the first season of Last Chance U, how they brought in like maybe the second. They had like 4 running backs at one time that were all D1 running backs that they just all brought to the school and over recruited. And then some of them were pissed because like they obviously didn't get any reps, just because of that whole situation. And then they ended up just leaving. So like they over recruited and now I don't get a look, and it kind of screwed them.
Yeah, some schools, they overload. And I would say with my JUCO experience, my head coach said something that was really true. Like when fall camp started, he told us, like, to be completely honest with you, like everybody in this room is not going to be here in 2 weeks. They're not all going to be here week 1. And maybe 60% of this room will be here at the end of the season. And guys, like, with junior college, like, you got to want it for yourself. It's like glorified high school, except like the coaches, they're not going to hold you accountable. They're not going to want it more than you do. If you don't want it for yourself, they're not going to want it for you. Right. So if you don't want to put in the work, they're not going to, make you go out there and do it. They got other kids that can focus on like those other running backs. If you're mad, you're angry, you want to do this, you want to pout, okay, I'm going to go put my focus on these kids that want to work, want to get better, because at the end of the day, when the coaches come to recruit, they want the guys with the best character, the guys who, do what they need to do old and stuff. They don't want to just be a drama queen diva. Because on top of going to junior college, I remember the first thing probably 80% of the coaches asked me when they met me was, why are you in junior college? They're asking you for a reason, because they probably asked like 6 other people before they asked you. So they want to know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
So you want to make, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go for it.
Oh, so like you just want to make sure, like, most people see junior college guys, when they come out of junior college, they want like as close to a perfect like player of like what they're looking for, their need as possible. Like they don't want to go to junior college to get another problem kid. So you don't want to be that problem kid.
Yeah, exactly. What's the schooling situation like in JUCO as far as like classes and what you have to take, and is it like the equivalent of high school classes at some level, or?
I would say, so you work towards your associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree.
Okay.
So like I majored in social sciences and wellness, and so I'm currently a interdisciplinary social science major here at Florida State. So you work towards a 2-year degree to get your 4-year degree. So it's more challenging than high school, but you take probably like 4 or 5 classes a semester so that you can leave in 2 years. Unless you're a qualifier, you can leave in 1. Mm-hmm. But I graduated early, actually, because I did the early college program in my high school. So I had my associate's degree before the season ended. So that's all they cared about. Once I had my degree in hand, I could transfer whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
So that's what's important, because there's other rules, and like, a kid can transfer if he's done this, or he has this amount of units, he has a degree, stuff like that. So, but with like the classes, it's it's more challenging in high school, but it's not like 4-year university type, like
Yeah.
hard.
So wait, I kind of assumed that you could just transfer or leave whenever. Is that not the case?
It's not. If it's the first time transfer, it depends on if you go from like interconference or you go out to a different conference. If you've left before, things like that. If you're in good academic standing, and you also have to have a reason for transferring. You can't just be like, "Oh, he made me mad, I'm leaving." You know, in some cases, like if you're lied to, like we saw that high school kid who signed to USC, and then like a week later or a week two later, jumped in the portal and went to Texas.
Right.
You know, you'll see situations like that, but like typically, like when a player jumps in the portal, like there has to be like a lot before that, before you just, because they'll try to talk to him, like, you know, try to work some things out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But because usually when you put your name in the portal, it doesn't immediately like pop up, you know. It notifies probably like the coaching staff, I'm assuming, because I had to get in the transfer portal when I was in junior college so that San Diego State could release me. But like I never had to go through that process with an actual team, you know.
Gotcha. So when did you move to tackle? Was that at JUCO?
Yeah, so that was spring of probably like 2018. I was probably 20 years old, and I was still growing. So I was probably like 6'3". I was like probably 250. And I had moved to tight end. And I was over there one day, and I was probably like, I kept growing. I was probably like 265, 270. And my head coach kept bringing it up. I thought he was just messing with me. So, like, I just ignored him sometimes because, like, he liked to, like, make fun of me. And then coach from Nevada came up to him, I guess, and he, like, told him, he's like, "Yo, who's that kid over there?" And he told him, and he's like, "I was just San Diego State bounce back. He used to be a defensive end. He played tight end." And he told me that he told my head coach, like, he's like, "Dude looks like an offensive tackle."
Yeah.
So, you know, he came over and talked to me, and he was like, "Why don't you just give it a try?" and stuff like that. And I gave it a try mainly because just hearing about it, and, you know, I'm in junior college. I've never been like a kid that coach tells me to do something, I simply do it. You know, I'm a yes or no sort type of guy. And my dad played offensive line at Louisville. So I was just thinking, you know, I always been a skinny kid, and my dad was just like, "One day you're going to be as big as me." And I kept telling him, "I'm not." And, you know, it finally happened. But it worked out the way it's supposed to. I actually started out as a guard. I was a guard from –
Well, you were at that like 6'3", and then you kind of popped up to that 6'6"?
Yeah, I started out a guard from, I would say, from April to all throughout fall camp for that junior college season. And then that first week, so we had this guy who probably like 6'7", 320, really athletic, really good. And I remember that Monday for our first game, my O-line coach comes up to me. He says, "I have good news, I have bad news." And I was like, "Well, what's the good news?" And he goes, he told us that the guy had decided to just quit. He wanted to be a jet pilot. And I was like, "Okay, well, that's good for him." And I was like, "What's the bad news?" He was like, "I need you to learn how to play tackle in 4 days." So I learned how to play left tackle in 4 days. And it's just constantly just being offensive lineman, just being this new to it. Like every week has been like I'm just learning something new.
Yeah.
So it's been good though.
Great. And then so you had, you know, I'm assuming a really successful year because then you had more offers back on the table. It's actually funny you mentioned Louisville because I saw when I was doing some research that you had offers from FSU, Louisville, Texas. So, you know, your dad went to Louisville. What made you choose to go to FSU?
So I was getting recruited by Coach Petrino for a little bit, and then he got fired. And I remember that last 2-3 weeks of my recruiting process, it came down to, I believe, Florida State, Louisville, Indiana, UCF, Texas, and Oklahoma. He hadn't offered, but I had been talking to him a bit. And I was supposed to visit Louisville, so it was supposed to go. I visit Indiana, and then I was supposed to go. Well, before that, I went to USC on the unofficial, but they decided to go the grad transfer route, and so I had to decide between going to Louisville or Texas that weekend because I was already going to Florida State the last weekend. And Louisville hadn't hired a head coach yet. And they were talking about Jeff Brom from Purdue. And my dad played with Jeff Brom in the 90s. and we were talking about visiting if they had a head coach. And as we got closer to it was probably like Wednesday night, they still hadn't hired a guy. So I just told my dad, I was like, I have to go visit Texas because they don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. And so, now that you're back in D1, how has it been since returning?
I would say coming from the Mountain West to JUCO to the ACC, it was rapid. I still remember that first practice. Just the speed of it is just different. You're around 5-star athletes, guys that are like top 10 in their position, number 1, number 2, 5-star, 4 stars. A lot of these guys from IMG Academy and stuff like that. So like just being around really athletic guys has been like, it's been really good for me. I had a lot of catching up to do. I was a 3-star kid, 2 stars coming out of high school, 3-star in junior college, and stuff. But it's just about the work. When you start working around these guys, you start working as hard as them, start working around them, you start to pick it up. So it's been really good.
Right. So now that you're finally over that 300-pound mark, but you're just like kind of hovering around like 305, right? Something like that?
No, I'm about 315 right now.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to ask about like, did you have plans to bulk up at all, or you're happy with your weight? Because, a lot of times you see, for example, I had Derek Dennis on just recently. He plays in the CFL and NFL and stuff, and he's like 6'6", 345, but he's like a big guy. But yeah, I was just kind of curious about, what do you think your ideal weight is going to be moving forward?
Between 315 and 305. I want to build my muscle, but at the same time, I want to still be able to have that mobility and quickness I had when I was still a tight end and stuff like that. So I've been playing around the 305 size. I just got around the 315 weight lately. But also because of this pandemic, a lot of us have been gaining weight and stuff like that. So it's been more of, so as these workouts go on between now and August, it's going to be more about shaping my body so that I can move around and be better like that. But I like being lighter around the 305 to the 315 area.
Okay. So then how does your play style mimic that then? Because you're going up against guys that might be, 330 D tackles that are all about power. What's your play style like at that weight?
It's more of, I would say, with how I approach it is more, you want to be physical, you want to be aggressive, you want to strike them. At the same time, being with Coach Atkins and stuff, you learn a lot about leverage points, and knowing where the ball is going. If you know that we're running inside zone, so the ball is hitting a certain landmark, you know that when you block this guy, you know where you can't lose. So it's fine if he wants to hit out. So that if you keep your strongest side hand, you can't cross your face and stuff like that. It's always like people won't care about, okay, he weighs more, he's stronger, and stuff like that. That's fine. But if you have your technique, your pad level, you have your hands in the right place, and you move your feet, and like being offensive lineman is great because you know where the ball's going. So I know where I can't let you go. So if you can get there and move your feet and get in the right hand placement technique and stop them, it really doesn't matter how strong they are. If they don't know where the ball is when you do. So it comes more down to, can I stop him from getting where I know he can't go? So I haven't really been worried about, okay, yeah, he's bigger than me and stuff like that. But, because you see guys see the mighty Mike guys, little 5'9", 5'10", 6-foot centers and guards in high school and stuff. The little 6'1", 6'2". We watch film on smaller guards in the NFL, Shaq Mason and stuff. They're short guys, but they're feisty, they're strong, and they know their leverage points, and they know where they can't get beat.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been focusing on lately.
Huh. So then what do you think you need to do moving forward for your final year? So, like you said, this is your senior year, your draft year is coming up after that. What needs to happen for you this season to get taken on draft day?
First I need to get on that field. I haven't got much playing time in the Division I level. So I know I need film. So, I got to keep competing. I need to keep learning the game and learning the plays and my leverage points and just knowing football. When talking to my coach and stuff like that, when you look at a lot of guys who got drafted, a lot of them, they had okay film, but they were smart. They could, the one thing about being a professional and just being an athlete is you learn stuff every day. There's enough guys in the NFL still trying to perfect their craft every day. Yeah. So I'm still going to be a working project when I get to the league and stuff like that, just like everybody else. So it just comes down to just knowing my stuff better than everyone else. And that's what I've been focusing on. I've got all my notebooks, got like 2-3 of them over here, and studying stuff and just learning everything I can possible, so that when I get there and get to the interviews and stuff like that,
Yeah.
When they pull up the film, they're like, okay, this guy is twitchy, he can move his feet, he strikes and stuff like that. They can teach them everything else. You learn stuff every day. But does he know what to do on the inside zone? Does he know the landmark here? Does he know what type of protection is this? Does he know the difference between an under and an over front, and stuff like that? So that's what I've been focusing on right now to get ready for that.
Awesome. Real quick, you have like a thing on the top from my right of your camera. Looks like a paper plate. No. It like right in front of your camera. Like right.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
It's all good. Now we can at least see the Snoop posters. That's all good.
Yeah.
So, the reason Jay actually came on today, he's like the first guy that reached out to me. And he's talking a lot about building his brand and the importance of, everyone having their own brand and narrative nowadays. So, Jay, I was wondering if you could just talk to that, why you want to do that, and, what do you think the value of it is?
Well, when I've looked at just stuff in general, like when I meet new people, when I have friends and stuff like that, I don't want them to just know me as just a football player. When I meet people in life, I always tell them, my wife is, when I get married one day, she's not just going to know me as Jay the football player. She's going to know me as Jay the person. So I've been trying to just build who I am outside of football. And I've been using football to do such a thing. I've been making TikToks every day, during the quarantine and stuff like that. And just trying to find other things I can do and reaching out. And one thing I like to do is with my junior college, I like to sit down and have Zoom meetings with the recruits and sit and talk with them and stuff like that, because I really want to help kids and guys that are in my situation get to the next level and get out of their situations and stuff like that. So that's what I've really been trying to build a brand for. I've always wanted to be a high school athletic director, but with the part of that, have my own like sports training facility with a rehab center and stuff like that. And I know I'm going to need like a big brand and following to be able to reach out to people and try to help them out and stuff like that. So I've started to look into stuff and look into stuff with other trainers and stuff like that. And just trying to build like my own type of like brand and trying to just first start off by just getting a following and a crowd and having that purpose and just using football right now for that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of you see a lot more people building their brands, and linemen have always been the people that they don't really know a ton about. We've kind of always been a little more hidden, and it makes sense by nature. We're not always in front of the camera, but it's actually kind of been a pain for me because, like, of course, with the quarantine, I was like, yeah, I'll start my own podcast. Like, why not? If there's any time to do it, it's now. But at the same time, like all the guys that like I'd love to talk to started doing their own things as well. It's like Lane Johnson, Taylor Luan, Kyle Long, like all these people, they're like, screw it. Like I'll start my own podcast now and building their own brands. Just kind of a pain for me because I'd like if they came on mine, but I guess I don't have that opportunity now, but that's all good. So yeah, that's actually a good transition into, I like to learn more about, like I said, there has to be a life after football. There always will be. So what are you going to school for now?
So currently I'm an interdisciplinary social science major with a minor in recreations.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to work towards my master's in exercise science and sports management. And from there, I want to work on, like I said, being a high school AD. When my playing career is done, try to GA somewhere or coach or just try to do things locally and stuff like that. But at the same time, work and stuff like that. And then try to build up to that, because I know that's a really, really high position. But you need a lot of experience for that.
Yeah.
So I want to do that because, like I said, I want to help kids be able to play collegiate sports and stuff. Give them the tools that they need to be successful, and help them out, make sure hold them accountable and stuff like that, and make sure they get the right coaching and everything that they need and stuff like that. So that's why I've been doing that. Also because I can also teach. And if I want to be a social science teacher and do social studies and stuff like that, I can do that and help educate kids and stuff like that on social matters and social problems in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool. You're the first person that's talked about going back for in an athletic capacity. A lot of people, at least XFL or ex NFL guys talk about real estate and other business ventures and
Mhm.
kind of building, like the mogul type thing. But it's cool to see, you giving back. Would you plan on staying in Florida for that, or do you think you'd go home?
Well, to add on to that, I also have some ideas with real estate and stuff like that as well, but that's like side stuff, like I
Yeah.
have like I'm really passionate about, you know what I'm saying? And I can't really decide, I haven't really, I felt like at some points that I left California because I felt like I needed like a fresh start, and like there's just nothing left out there for me. And but at the same time, I do miss it. I miss it a lot.
Hmm.
And so I do want to venture out. I know that when I'm done playing sports as well, I also want to use my brand and my networks and my social media and all this stuff and to help like have fun so that I can travel. I
Yeah.
want to travel the world a bit and stuff like that while I'm still young in my 20s and stuff, maybe at my early 30s and stuff like that. So like to figure out, what I want to do, because I really like Florida. Only thing I don't like about Florida is the bipolar weather.
Yeah.
It was 87 degrees. I'm sitting in my car, and the next thing I know, it's just pouring rain.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's the only downside about Florida for me right
Yeah. I was actually going to ask about like, sometimes being bigger and, the weather affects you in different ways. And
now.
I was going to ask about, which climate do you prefer? Cause I know some people that they love the heat, or the humidity. I'm a
Mhm.
cold guy. I've always loved the cold. I like the heat, but it's like, I'm real sensitive to it just cause we don't get a ton of it here.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's like moving to like a Florida would be tough for me.
I actually had talked about this a while ago. So, how did I put it? So, someone asked me what was the difference between like the humidity here and just dry heat. So, my area of California, Southern California, is the low desert. So, it is the dry heat is
Yeah.
it's something. So, I remember, so I was back in California when this pandemic stuff had just happened, and I'm just sitting in my house, it's just scorching hot. It just had me just thinking, and I would just put it like this: if I had to pick or like have an opinion on it, I would say the hot and humidity here in Florida, like in the dry heat, I'd have to pick like the hot and humid here because the dry heat in California, it just hurts. It's just hot,
Yeah.
it's just burning, it's just melting. But like at least with the humidity, it's you're building something. Like you feel like your lung capacity, it's building character. That's how I put
Yeah.
it. But like the hot and heat in California just hurts, and the humidity here is building character. So I'd rather just sit out here in this humidity and stuff.
Yeah.
If I had to
Yeah.
pick, yeah.
It's fair. So what do you have your ideas of what you want to do past football? But what have you been doing right now for hobbies and, finding new interests and stuff with the way life has changed?
Lately I've watched a lot of documentaries from the OJ Simpson stuff, Jesse Epstein and stuff like that, and research and stuff. And I got more into like just trying to just learn new things and stuff like that like regular people wouldn't know, and or like fun stuff. I just started playing Madden again. I had a friend scarred me. He beat me pretty bad one day about a year ago. I didn't want to play
Yeah.
her again, but I jumped back into it probably like a month ago. But that or I have a lot of friends that don't play sports that are in town, and I spend a lot of time with them and stuff
Yeah.
like that because I don't really see them during the season and stuff like that. And another thing I did before we started working out again was I started traveling around Florida. I have a teammate that lives in West Palm Beach. I drove down there to spend time and drive around there. Went to Jacksonville for a little bit. Drove right before the pandemic happened. We drove down to Miami and went to FIU. My old roommate, he had transferred from there, and I just wanted to see Florida and stuff like that and explore it because I see if I wanted to stay there. Like I need to see what's going on there
Yeah.
because all my California people just think it's just alligators and hurricanes out here, and vice versa. The Florida people just think it's hurricanes and not hurricanes, earthquakes and traffic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just explore a little bit. So that's what I've been doing.
Okay, cool. So you actually mentioned it earlier. Can you explain making TikToks to me? I've never tried. I see them all over Instagram. Whenever I post lineman ones, they do decently well. But
Mm-hmm.
TikTok's just this like, I just don't get it. And I just like, I miss the wave, and I'll still like look at some sometimes, but like, what's it like creating TikTok content?
For me personally, like, because people ask me about it, like, they're like, well, how do you come up with your ideas? Like, what do you do? Like, stuff like that. It's just, I'll usually just be like, for how it started for me was just like, we just had we'll have a meeting and like, we'll talk about like a certain concept, and like, I'll be studying it and I don't get it. So I'll just make a TikTok about it. And then like, it'll just kind of piece it together for me. Or,
Yeah.
just, just stuff in general I just thought about, or like I'll see that's like funny and I want to remake it and stuff like that. So that'll be like my last like boredom, where like I'm just bored. I'll just make a TikTok real quick. And
Yeah.
like it is a lot. It's a lot of camera work. It's like making like a YouTube video, but like it doesn't last more than like 30 seconds. So
Yeah.
like you gotta learn like that timer thing and all the effects and stuff like that. You just sit there and just play with it and stuff like that. But it's not that hard, I would say.
Hmm.
But it does take some work.
Yeah. Like I've opened up TikTok. I've seen the front page. I've searched lineman stuff, but I've never actually been to like the area where you make your own.
Uh-huh.
And I got enough going on right now with the podcast and stuff. It's like, I miss the wave, and I'm okay with that.
You can always join. It's never too late.
Yeah.
And it's like you connect with like other linemen like at different schools and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or I talked to a quarterback that was at, I think, Eastern Michigan and stuff like that on here. And every so often check out what he does and help each other out and talk about stuff we make and stuff like that.
Yeah. I will become more interested in it if they ever find a way to monetize it outside of just my like personal sponsorship or creating partnerships with stuff.
Yeah.
That's when, like I'm always curious about like how much money these TikTok stars actually make, because they have 40 million followers, but it's like you can't monetize a single one of those views,
Yeah, and I
unless
know
it's on a
that.
partnership basis.
Some of them, yeah, sign like with they sign contracts with like I know like those TikTok dancers, they sign with agencies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I don't know where again, but I don't watch them every day to see if they're doing like partnerships every day. I
Mm-hmm.
don't. I literally just haven't taken the time to get a better grasp of it, but we'll see. Like we'll see if I have time in
Yeah,
the future. Um,
yeah,
so you were talking earlier about wanting to help guys get out of their situations and get to a higher level and make themselves better in all these different capacities. So the one thing I always ask people that come on is about what advice do they have for people. So it could be for people trying to get from JUCO to D1, from high school to even JUCO or anything like that. So what's some advice that you have for people trying to just make that next step?
that tough times don't last, and you gotta make the best out of the situation that you're in. When I was in junior college, something I talked to a lot of the guys I was in junior college with is that we felt like it was never going to end.
Mm.
And that last season I was in, I remember it was like July. I was just sitting there by myself, and I was just like, you know what? I have like 5-6 months left of this. I'm just gonna knuckle down. I'm gonna stay out of trouble. I'm gonna stay inside. I'm gonna do my work, do what I'm told, and I'm just gonna give it everything I got. And so and like a lot of times, like when people give up, like you're right there.
Mm.
When it gets tough, like you just got to push through it. You're not if you're gonna put yourself through like into it, you might as well go through it. You wouldn't like go halfway through something and just say like I'm just gonna give up. Because it's tough for a reason. If it was easy, everyone would do it. If that
Yeah.
makes sense, and it's just when just talking to some of the guys, I just let them know like it's okay to struggle, because you're gonna look back at that and it's a great story. I love telling some guys about some of the stuff that I experienced when I was in junior college. There were some days where I had like $2 in my bank account, and like you're just trying to decide like how you're gonna eat, what you're gonna do, and stuff like that. And just looking back, and I'm just like if I gave up, like I may still be there to this day.
Mm.
And it's more of like I just love to just share stories and just let them know like, yeah, I know it's tough. I know, but you got to push. You just got to keep going. Like if you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen. And if it's easy, like I said before, everyone would be doing it, you know, and it's tough for a reason. You know, it's worth it. It's going to be worth it. Everything you go through to get where you want to go is going to be worth it.
Awesome. All right, man. Last question, big one. You got one meal. It's going to be, you know, the meal you eat for the rest of your life. Favorite food. What's it going to be?
I make this a lot. It's gumbo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I make that. I made it. We usually put chicken, sausage, crab legs, shrimp. We get like the rice and all the seasonings and stuff like that. So it's all good. Old get a big old pot and just have some of the guys over and just start making it, eating it and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, I wish I had more exposure to like the Southern cooking and Southern cuisine. I don't have. We were talking about crawfish boils and stuff before with Austin, and it's stuff I've never had. I've never been accustomed to or even had the chance to try. So yeah, gumbo is one up there that I want to go down to the South and give it a go.
Yeah, now just don't eat anybody's gumbo. Like you gotta make sure it's some good stuff. Like I don't really want to hate on nobody, but there's some people that don't know how to make it. You know, you gotta make sure they don't have all that extra weird stuff in it. You know, and it gets straight to the point with the flavor and the spiciness and stuff like that. And there's some interesting stuff you can put in it. You know, it depends on the type of person or what you like.
So okay, how do I know then if it's like good gumbo? Like, what do I need?
You can tell by the smell. When they open the pot and it hits your face, you know, right there, you know, oh, yeah, that's good. You know,
damn.
You just gotta stir it around till you see whether you lift it up.
Yeah,
you just, you know, it's a sense thing to it. He's just like, oh, yeah, this yeah, you know what I'm saying. You'll smell it, you'll be ready to eat.
Damn. You know, the tough thing about these podcasts is every time I record one, the last question is always like about, you know, favorite foods and stuff. And every time when people start talking about it, it's like in a weird window of the day for me where it's like I haven't eaten yet. And I just get so hungry. Like every time we have this conversation, it just gets me thinking. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, I got a little hungry right now, but I got to go work out in an hour. So I can't go just pick out right now.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So yeah, you know, this was great. Thanks again for coming on. We're perfect on time. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about, plug, anything like that before we kind of wrap it up?
No, I think we played it. We talked about enough, you know.
Yeah.
You got my social medias and stuff. You want to go ahead and put that out there for me and stuff. You know, if anybody ever wants to reach out, you know, talk to me, you know, junior college kids. I know I have some high school kids, middle school kids that, you know, I'm not a guy that looks at my DMs and just looks away. You know, if you want to know something, you want to ask me something, you know, I'll typically respond. You know, I'll talk to them and stuff like that. You know, I'll like, you know, I had a kid, he had messaged me on Twitter when I was in junior college. I messaged him back, talked to him for a little bit. And I'm in my locker probably around February, and his older brother was taking a visit to Florida State, and he just walks up to me, and he's just like, do you remember me? And he showed me his phone, and I was just like, oh, wow. You know, I had a conversation with you a few days ago, like a few months ago. So, you know, I'm always open and stuff like that, ready to talk to anybody. So,
yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, and, you know, with these, I link it in the description, and then also when I post about it on Instagram, I always tag you in the post, so find them that way. And then if you got any good TikToks, I'll post those as well, and, you know, we'll see what we can get going.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. All right. Yeah, have a good day, man. And again, I hope you have a great year. I hope we have an actual season in some capacity, and, you know, I wish you all the best of luck come season, and then hopefully draft day after that. So, you know, good luck.
Appreciate you too. We'll be in touch.
All right. See you, man.
All right. See you.